Amanda from Pontes Books here with another video for The Prince and the Pauper. Today we're looking at the vocabulary focus for chapter 15. So our word for today is one that gets used quite a bit in a couple different ways in The Prince and the Pauper. Our word for today is wit or wits. Kind of hard to come up with a picture for this one, so I kind of went with the humorous side of the word, but we'll talk about how there's a little bit more to it than just that. So in terms of a definition, the majority of the time that we're going to see the word wit or wits, it's going to be a noun. And in the story, it's typically referring to mental sharpness and inventiveness. So it's kind of about like thinking on your toes and being clever in the moment, or creative, inventive in the moment. But because of that, it is often associated with using words or ideas in a quick way to create humor. So a lot of times this word is associated, if someone has wit, they are kind of funny. They can come up with jokes on the spot. That's not necessarily the way that it's always used in The Prince and the Pauper. There's not a whole lot of characters that are cracking jokes all the time. It's more funny in its irony than in necessarily what characters are saying. But that is kind of another aspect of the definition of the word. So some kind of examples of traits, cleverness and intelligence are kind of along the same lines of this wit. Like again, thinking on your feetness, if that was a word. And then some non-examples, stupidity, that's not a very nice term, but that would be kind of an antonym. And then again, going along kind of with that humor aspect, humorlessness and mindlessness. So pretty much anybody who's like kind of just slow on the uptake, not really able to think on their feet, that would be kind of a non-example of wit. But again, wit is like the trait, not necessarily the person, or like it's the thing that you have. It's not an adjective describing the person, it is the trait. So in terms of the etymology, we can trace this back to Old English with wit or gewit. My Old English pronunciation, as always, not great. And it means understanding, intellect, sense, knowledge, consciousness, or conscience. And then it can also be related to Dutch and German. It has kind of like Germanic roots, wheat and wits, with similar kind of meanings there. So you can trace it back a little bit, a couple different ways that it kind of branches off. So a straightforward sentence: as the girl grew older, she developed a quick wit, which kept her parents on their toes. So again, thinking on your feet, being able to do things quickly. Her parents had to keep on their toes to keep up with her wit. That could be like wisecracks, kind of like coming back at her parents with some sassy remarks, or that could just be that she was, coming up with really quick plans and quick ideas, and depending on the age in this example sentence, they might just be having to physically keep up with her. So a sentence from the chapter. This is a part where Tom kind of gets distracted, and he's just, I think it's because he finds out that somebody has been sentenced to be, or they're talking about boiling people alive, something related to that, and he like is kind of startled by this. So then this is right after that happens. It says, as soon as he could recover his wits, he cried out. So he was kind of startled by this comment. He was not able to really think clearly, but he kind of regathered his wits, he gathered his thoughts, and then was able to think more calmly about it. Some other forms of the word that you might see: witty, that would be an adjective to describe somebody who has wit. Wittiness is another noun form of the word. Wittily would be the adverb. And a witticism is a noun that is kind of a clever remark. So somebody using their wit to make a remark, that remark would be referred to as a witticism. And that is actually what we're kind of diving into for our little bonus segment here, is just a list of some clever witticisms. So you see this word, a witticism, it's just kind of like a clever saying that is like a one-liner kind of type thing that you might see. So I just picked a few. You know, they're kind of like cheesy jokes, cheesy puns in some ways, but it's just another word for, you know, a clever phrase or joke, a witticism. I started out with nothing. I still have most of it. I'm not a comedian, so my, you know, comedic timing is not really there. You'll have to forgive me. Some days you're the dog, some days the hydrant. I like that one. That's one of my favorites. It is easier to get older than it is to get wiser. Ain't that the truth? Nostalgia isn't what it used to be. I like that one too. I wish the buck stopped here. I could use a few. And lastly, living on Earth is expensive, but it does include a free trip around the sun. So those are a couple witticisms to get you through your day. Hopefully you understood all of them. I tried to choose ones that were a little more straightforward. Yeah, so that's wit and wits. You'll see that come up throughout the story quite a bit. Hopefully you learned something. Have a good rest of your day.